Hello, I'm John. I'm going to introduce you to the chessboard and the pieces. So looking at the board here in front of me, first of all there are 8 squares by 8 squares, so there's 64 squares altogether. When you're placing your pieces you must have a white square on your right hand side. So if you're sitting here on this side, this is your right hand side, that's white, and that means this is my right hand side and that's also white. So that's the first requirement. Put a white square, place the board so that there's a white square on your right. Now if you see these letters and numbers, some boards have them, others don't. For instance, these are the letters A to H, numbers 1 to 8. These are only needed if you're going to be recording your moves, which you're not, at least not as a beginner. So for instance, this square here would be D3, this one here would be E4. And if you're going to be recording your moves, you have to set up the white pieces on rows 1 and 2 and the black pieces on rows 7 and 8. But we're not going to be learning about recording moves. So now if we look at the pieces, there are 6 different pieces in chess. First of all, there's the king, the most important piece. He's also usually the tallest and usually has a cross on his head. The queen is the most useful piece, the best fighting piece. The bishop goes beside the king, and beside the bishop is the knight, the one that looks like a horse, and beside the horse or the knight is the rook. The rook is also called the castle, but rook is the official name. And finally the pawn, the 6th piece. So the 6 pieces are the queen, the king, the bishop, the knight, the rook and the pawn. Now it's important to have some idea of the value of these pieces. The pawn is the weakest, it's worth 1 point. The rook is worth 5, the knight is worth 3, bishop 3, queen 9, and the king is worth the game. We'll see more about that under check and checkmate. So setting up the board, rooks go in the corners like this, knights go beside the rooks, bishops beside the knights, and in the centre, the king and the queen. The white queen goes in the white square, and over here the dark queen will be on the dark square. So the queen goes in her colour. That's all you need to remember. White queen, white square, dark queen, dark square. Now along the front then are the pawns. So there are 8 pawns. And over here on the black side, rooks go in the corners, knights beside the rooks, bishops beside the knights, and in the centre the king and the queen. Queen on her colour, dark queen, dark square, white square, and along the front the pawns. So there are 16 different pieces, there are 16 pieces for each side. That's 32 altogether on the board. But there are only 6 different pieces. Okay, so that concludes the introduction to the board and the pieces. So thank you for watching.